Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Wire and Electronics podcast, where we're making you an expert. I'm your host, Jalen Barnes. It's been a while, but we are back with our first episode of 2019, and I'm very excited because today's topic is electric strikes. By the time we're done, you will be an expert on the topic. I have a very special guest who I'm honored to introduce. He's a very knowledgeable man on this topic, Mr. David Price of Camden Door Controls. So please join me in welcoming him. All right, David, it's good to have you on. Thank you for joining us for this episode.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's David Price. I'm the marketing manager for Camden Door Controls. I've been working with the company for more than 10 years. I've been a full-time employee for about 8 years, but I go back almost to the beginning of the company, more than 20 years now. This is actually our 32nd year in business. So going back many years, originally designed the logo for the company. So a great record of introducing a lot of innovation to the market and growing the business.
Well, congratulations on being with Camden Control for that length of time. That's quite an accomplishment.
And very interesting as well. We are a smaller company, privately owned, which is quite the opposite of the very large multinational conglomerates that dominate the industry.
Yeah.
We are very nimble and very quick to market, and bringing a lot of innovation that would frankly be virtually impossible in a larger company. Our discussion today is about electric strikes, and this is a great example of what Camden can do. We have a full line of electric strikes for virtually any application that is easily equal to the very best product quality in the marketplace, and what's quite often referred to as German engineering, very high quality manufacturing with a full backed up by a full 5-year product warranty. But at a price point that is at least 20, if not 30 or even more % less than the major brands. So we really are shaking the market up in terms of what installers can expect. A premium product, in other words, without the premium price.
I've sold the product here at Norfolk Wire, so I know it's a good product. Anybody I've sold it to, they know it's a good product. So I can see you guys as an authority on the topic. So with that being said, let's hop right into it. Yeah. What can you tell me? What is an electric strike? Let's just dive right into it. What is an electric strike?
An electric strike is a security device. It's really ultimately all about granting access to a building to someone who is qualified to be in that building, and keeping people you don't want out of the building. Electric strikes are probably the most common form of access control locking device. It is an electromechanical lock, which means there is a little electric motor inside, also known as a solenoid, and it is electromechanical device that is installed in the door frame, and typically controlled by an access control system, which is card readers or biometric reader, or a very simple keypad if you wanted to do a very small installation where you're not looking for an audit trail, a record of who's coming in and out of the building. You could have an electric strike and a very low-cost keypad, digital keypad by the door. So in a doctor's office or some other application, that may be quite suitable. In other high security applications, you might have a very complex access control system that would require a proximity card, access card, or biometrics, where you're going to scan a fingerprint. All the way, into a very high security type application. So electric strikes are really categorized by the force that's required to break the lock. So a grade 1 strike is much better holding force than a grade 3 strike.
But you're saying that something as simple as a keypad, you need at least a
Yeah.
keypad to operate it, but you don't have to go any more advanced than that.
Right, exactly. So it has great flexibility for very simple, small access control systems, all the way up to the the Pentagon. You can really put the strike in that's needed, depending on again the rating of the strike, which is the BHMA holding force rating.
So what's always interested me about products like this is not only what it does, but also how it's doing it. So how does it work exactly? So you've got a keypad, let's say on a simple scale, and then you've got how are they communicating? How is it powered? How is it working to actually keep that place secure?
There's really before we talk about the actual mechanics of how the strike works, you should know there's two really important ways that they work. One is a fail-safe setting or a fail-secure setting. So this really talks about what is the state of the electric strike when the power is removed. So if it's de-energized, in other words, do you want, if that strike is de-energized, do you want the door to be unlocked, which would be a fail-safe setting, or do you want that door, if the power is lost, to remain locked? And if you wanted it to be remained locked, of course, you wanted it to fail secure. So that's a really important consideration, a security consideration. As we talked about, if you put an electric strike on an exterior door, you probably don't want to have it in a fail-safe mode. So if the power went off, somebody could just walk into the building. But there are lots of applications where you would want that to be a fail-safe. Certainly on an interior door, you don't want to start locking people into rooms in the building. But fundamentally, as I say, it isn't all electric strikes or most electric strikes, because there's always an exception. Most electric strikes are electromechanical devices that are energized, locked when energized. So there's a little electric motor or a solenoid inside the strike that changes position of the strike keeper to lock it or to leave it open. So the keeper is the angled part of metal that actually holds the lockset latch, the door lockset latch, in place. And it is like a small gate that swings open or closed. I did say there's exceptions. Of course, there are pneumatic electric strikes as well that don't work in the same way, but certainly those are the exception used for intrinsically safe type of applications or explosion-proof type of applications.
Gotcha.
Commercial buildings, you never get into that side of things.
Okay.
So they all work, as I say, fundamentally in the same way. They're energized or de-energized, which allows the keeper of the strike to open or close, depending on the state. Now, there's a number of different types of electric strikes, and they are to really accommodate the different type of door frames and different type of lock sets that you have on the door. So their most common is a ANSI electric strike, which is referring to the ANSI prep that's in the door frame for the lock set. So cylindrical lock sets typically are an ANSI type of door prep for the latch plate. And these are designed to replace that, to be inserted in those on the door frame in the latch plate position, to really, as I say, allow the door to be opened or closed, allow the lock set to be opened or closed. Understood.
So you have ANSI. What else do you have?
There's also the second most common type of lock set in the market is a mortise lock set. That's a lock set that's actually mounted into the door, recessed into the door. So those types of lock sets will require a mortise electric strike. So we have mortise electric strikes as well. And There's really two others. There's the big market that's next in line for your installers is really rim strikes. So these are the types of strikes that are used with crash bars, or what's known as Pullman latch sets. So rim strikes are an important exit device type of electric strike. Electric strike used where an electric strike used where exit devices are on the door.
Okay.
And lastly, we even have strikes for glass doors. So if you're in a retail environment and you have a glass door without a frame, you're looking to secure, then we can accommodate that as well. In many cases, glass door manufacturers include the strike with their package, but if there's quite often a retrofit, and if you're looking for that application, we can cover that as well.
So, is there any door that an electric strike won't work for?
I think the short answer is no. We probably have, for all intents and purposes, we probably have an electric strike that would serve the requirements there. As I say, you can have some industrial, you need an industrial explosion-proof type product. We certainly don't get into that type of thing, but for 99% of the doors in any commercial, industrial, healthcare, schools and universities, there would be nothing on those installations that we couldn't handle. To help listeners who aren't really familiar with it, there's cylindrical lock sets, which are we call ANSI type electric strikes. Cylindrical lock sets are just the round type of lock set that you can see that project through the door, round knobs, if you will. Mortise lock are identified because if you look at the edge of the door, you'll see the lock set actually inserted into the cavity of the door. And rim strikes, of course, are the exit device, the crash bars that you see. So any of those types, we have models that are compatible with those lock sets. The big thing that I'd like to tell your listeners, though, is that with our strikes, which is quite different than most competitors, is we really pride ourselves on universal performance. So where if you have kind of the traditional manufacturers in the marketplace, you could very easily end up on the job site and they require a fail-safe instead of a fail-secure operation, or they require a 24-volt instead of a 12-volt operation, or there may be the actual latch plate that you have, or faceplate of the strike that you have, may be different than what you anticipated. We offer a universal design of our strikes so that we really make sure that the installer is never set up to be on a job site with a strike that won't do what they need it to do. So all of our strikes are selectable, fail-safe, fail-secure. They're all selectable for 12 or 24 volts, AC or DC. They all come with multiple faceplates. So our ANSI strikes with cylindrical lock sets come with 3 faceplates. So you have, because there are different ANSI latch plate covers that are latch plates that are required. We offer different strike faceplates to accommodate those. Our mortise strike, our all-in-one 1579 strike, actually comes with 5 faceplates. So that comes with a wide selection of faceplates for mortise locks and cylindrical locks. So you, as I say, we really have done a tremendous job, better job than anyone else in the industry, to really protect the installers so they can have one product in their truck that will serve serve all of their applications.
Well, that's perfect. So tell me a little bit then about Camden. I know you guys have a resource to help installers, choose the right lot, to kind of hold their hand and help them along and making sure, depending on what situation they run up against in the field, find the right solution.
Yeah, we're really proud of that because we not just one level of support. We have many levels of support available to an installer. Both if you have a customer, an installer that has never installed an electric strike before, we can support that installer with, I'll call it an Installer 101 installer guide, which is available on our website. It is a full-blown small course on the essentials of electric strikes and what an installer really needs to know in order to understand the door that they have and the application of a strike to that door, which is a great resource to them. The next step up from our installer guide is our online selection wizards. So if an installer knows the model number of a competitive strike, whether that be HES or RCI or any of the other manufacturers in the marketplace, we have a selection wizard that would allow, that will tell the installer exactly what the equivalent Camden model is. If the installer doesn't really know what strike to install on the door, we have a selection wizard that will walk the installer through a selection of questions that they can answer. Of course, you can't have a selection wizard or other online support for every possible application. So our next and most important resource available to your installers is our tech support group. The tech support reps that we have here that are available either online through email, chat, or through 1-800 telephone, are available to really answer any questions that installers have about the electric strike that's best for their application. We always recommend that an installer include pictures, email us pictures of the application so we can confirm that it's absolutely the right strike for their needs. But we can ask probing questions and explore the options with the installers to recommend what they need.
You know, it sounds small, but being able to, ask a tech support person, can I send you a picture I'm looking at? And they say yes, that's a big deal. It actually is. It's actually very helpful to be able to do that.
It really is. And saves so much time. It just cuts all the questions out. And of course, our tech support guys are dealing with this day in, day out. Very quickly after seeing a picture, they can go, aha, this is a strike you need to use, or this is a problem that you may be having. Yeah. There are online as well installation videos. I strongly urge your installers, any installer, to have a look at the installation video. It really takes, if you've never installed a strike before, it takes all the questions out of the process. If you have installed a strike before, then looking at the video might give you a couple of tips on how to do it a little bit better. We do offer cutting jigs, cutout jigs to installers, which can really reduce the amount of time available, the amount of time that it takes to install the strike. Just on that issue, we actually give away cutting jigs for our strikes. So we have a buy 20 get a free cutting jig promotion that we have. It runs day in, day out, so it's available to any installer with an order of 20 strikes or more. And the value of that cutout jig, because it's made to be used with a router or simply as a marking for cutting out, that strike is very solid made and lists for about $300. So that's free with an order of 20 strikes or more.
Perfect. Well, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have links to the wizard in the description of this podcast and make it available to everyone on my newsletter. So anyone listening, if you're not signed up for the Wire and Electronics podcast newsletter or not subscribed to us on iTunes, please do so to make sure that you get all these resources that we're talking about today. So talk a little bit about the promotion that you guys are running for my listeners here.
Yeah, just for Norfolk, we're very pleased to offer 10% off of any Camden strike for this week. Place an order and get 10% off.
Perfect. That sounds great. So make sure to take advantage of that, guys. And where besides, I'm gonna have some information in your contact info available as well. But where can my listeners go for more information on Camden?
To access all of our online resources, white papers, videos, selection guides, please go to our website, camdencontrols.com, and access them.
Well, David, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. I personally feel like an expert now in electric strikes, and that's the goal. So we appreciate you and bringing your knowledge and informing us with this great material. We do appreciate it, sir.
No, thank you so much for the opportunity again. Please please visit our website or contact customer service if we can help more.
I hope my listeners do take advantage of that. Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Wire Electronics Podcast. Please shoot me an email. My email is in the description below to sign up for the newsletter. That's jalen.barnes@norfolkwire.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time on the Wire Electronics Podcast. We're making you an expert. Thank you. Have a blessed day.